recently traveled on MSC World America for their Western Caribbean itinerary, and we wanted to share our honest review of our cruise with you. We are not sponsored by MSC, so you can rest assured that this is an honest review of our actual experience.
Now, the MSC World America is its newest ship, which began sailing out of Miami to the Eastern and Western Caribbean in April of this year. It's their second ship in MSC's world-class series of megaships, and the first one specifically designed for the U.S. market.
So come along with us as we review MSC World America.
Now, we ranked our experiences on a scale of 1 to 10 in a variety of categories, including the ship, food, entertainment, the service, and the overall value. Okay, our first category we're going to start with is the ship. Now, the one thing I really liked about this ship was the fact it was really easy to navigate and move around and learn the ship. Big plus on that one.
Now, along with that, one of the biggest criticisms on some of these mega ships is the elevator system. Yeah. I've seen it a lot online with some of MSC's other ships. This ship, like most of your newer ships, have the smart elevators. And here on this one, I never thought we had to wait too long. There were a few situations, like when you're coming back from port or right as the theater gets out, where they might get a little clogged up. But generally, they worked really well. And what's really crazy is there's only really 2 main banks of elevators on this ship that goes to all the different decks. So that's something I was actually pretty pleasantly surprised about.
Yeah, they do have some auxiliary elevators out into the promenade that are specified for certain decks. But outside of that, I just thought it flowed well and you were able to get on and off pretty easy.
Now, one of the other things about this ship is the fact that it's divided up into a lot of different areas. MSC calls them districts. And there's 7 of them around the ship. And what's really cool about that is it never really felt crowded.
No, it didn't.
I mean, this ship had over 6,700 guests plus crew.
Yeah.
That's just guests. And it was a fully sold out cruise. And so you had 6,700 plus people, and it never really felt horribly crowded.
No.
Because they really do a nice job in the layout of the ship of spreading people out.
Yes, like up on in the Zen pool area, there were a lot of loungers, and it didn't matter what time of the day you were up there. It seemed like you could always get a lounge chair and spread out and not be overly elbow roomed with people and so on.
Yeah, we've been on a number of ships in the adult only area where, it's almost impossible. Now, some of the nicer seating areas, the more comfy day beds and stuff like that, those might have been a little more difficult to get a hold of. But in terms of finding a place to sit, they had a lot of options, both in the shade as well as in the sun, depending which one you like.
Now, the main pool deck did get pretty crowded.
It still could get crowded, yeah. But generally, there was a lot of seating and plenty of options for different areas where you could go and lay out. There's a lot of pools and hot tubs, and they're spread out around the ship. So again, it doesn't feel overly crowded in any one specific area.
No, definitely not. I thought, though, the one spot they could have added a few more chairs and seating was on the World Promenade in the back towards where the sport bar was, where they would have bands play and so on.
That area they call the lanai.
Yeah, back on the lanai. It got a little bit crowded there when they had some bands playing and so on, and people were trying to always grab some seats and stuff. So there they could have probably had a few more seating areas staged out for people. But outside of that, I thought it was pretty easy to find a seat.
Speaking of the promenade, I really enjoyed that promenade Galleria area of the ship. So the Galleria, they both are kind of like a shopping mall kind of situation where you get the different shops and services and restaurants. The Galleria is inside, the promenade is outside. So you have a few things that are outside. Most of the things are inside. But I thought that was also laid out really, really well.
And the one thing about the Galleria inside I loved was that big chandelier, and then also the LED screen up on the top.
Oh yeah, it was really cool. They had different videos of almost like whales and things.
I think it was mantas or something, or sharks one time or something. It was really cool though.
Yeah, so the inside Galleria area, really beautiful, really laid out nice. elegant design, a lot of cool interior. Outside, again, it's a little bit different because it is outside, but you've got a few restaurants, the coffee shop is out there, and that lanai area is fantastic.
Yeah.
And that lanai area also has two really cool things. They have the sports bar, which is really nice. And then on the other side, they had the ice cream shop, which had some really fantastic decor, great places to sit. It's really fun.
And gelato.
It's great for selfies. Yeah, gelato. It's really great for selfies. They had a lot of really cool things there. My only real thing that I thought was a little weird about the promenade was the fact that when they had events out there, like for example, they had the silent disco out there. And the restaurants, like the ice cream shop, closed down.
Yeah.
Like right as the silent disco was starting, I was thinking, I'll go get an ice cream, and couldn't because it was closed. And so, I mean, that was just kind of weird. But anyway, generally, it was a fantastic area to be. It was a fantastic area to hang out with. Make sure when you're there, you check out the LED light show at night.
Yeah. Yeah,
they
that
play
was
it
cool.
several times at night out on the promenade. And it was really, really fun to watch the different light shows. And sometimes it was just a really cool spot to hang out in the evenings. I really liked it a lot. So in terms of the ship, I would give this ship a 9. I was a little worried. I tend to like the smaller ships, and so going on a mega ship was something I wasn't really sure I'd really like, but I really did. This ship offered, it didn't feel crowded. There was easy to get around. I generally really like the ship. What do you think?
Yeah, I hedged back and forth between a 9 and a 10. I'm going to give it a 10 just because outside of like a couple of seating areas like on that back lanai, I still think it flowed very well, and it was such an easy ship to learn. And to me, overall, it did not feel crowded. I just thought it was a well done ship.
Yeah, they really did a nice job. Our next category is our stateroom. We really like the layout of this particular room. Now, I gotta say, if you've been on some of MSC's other newer ships, like Seascape or Seashore, you're gonna notice the rooms are very, very similar.
Yeah.
The decor is very similar, and the way it's laid out is very, very similar.
Yeah, the bathrooms are basically a carbon copy of what you see on the Seashore and Seascape. So.
Yeah, I mean, realistically, we had actually, this particular room, and you can check out our room tour. We'll link it down in the description below. This particular room is practically identical to a room that we had on the Seascape. It was a partial view extended balcony room. So it had an extra large balcony. And technically they called it limited view because there was a little bit, you couldn't really see forward, but it didn't bother me at all.
No.
Anyway, the room has a fridge and a safe, so if you're looking for those two things, those things are available. And there is plenty of closet and storage space.
I also noticed this ship had a lot of outlets, I thought. They had some USBs. They had USBs by the bed on each side. They also had a couple of the European-style outlets that if you had the adapters, you could definitely get more use out of those.
It is one of a great tip if you need more charging space, and we do because of camera equipment and such. We always bring our European adapters, and it doubles our capacity for charging. But yeah, this one had way more outlets than you've seen on a lot of cruise ships, and that's always very helpful.
We had a partial view balcony, and it's actually a really interesting balcony. Now, we were on deck 16. And one thing I will say is at nighttime it was a little bit noisier. We heard some moving of chairs and stuff upstairs. So not the end of the world. Bring some earplugs if you're real sensitive to noise for that type of a room in that location on the ship. But we really enjoyed our location as far as the balcony goes because it was oversized.
Yeah, it's an oversized balcony because it's the part where the ship cuts in. Now, my only complaint about that, and we've had extended balconies on a couple of other ships, and on this one, I thought it was really weird. They didn't have any loungers out there.
No, they didn't.
I realized that class of balcony typically doesn't have loungers, but when we were on Seascape, for example, and on other ships on other lines where we've had extended balconies, they would have at least one, if not two loungers out there. And there was plenty of room for them, but they still only had 2 chairs,
they could
regular chairs, and a footrest.
They could have fit 4 loungers on this balcony.
They really could have, or at the very minimum 2.
Yeah, just kind of weird.
Yeah, big picture, the room was clean, the room was comfortable. We really enjoyed our stay on MSC World America in the cabin. So for total score, Chris, what do you think? What do you give?
I gave it a 9 just because I loved the room overall. I just thought it was a little odd not having the lounge chairs out there on such a big balcony. You know, I love the outlets, but it really didn't. It's just a nice room overall, but that was my big thing.
Yeah, I also gave it a 9. I mean, it was clean, it was comfortable. Like you said, we were on the 16th deck, and so it was a smidge loud at night, but it wasn't horrible. And then the lounge thing. So I would also give it a 9.
Our next category is the embarkation debarkation process. Now that new terminal in Miami is just beautiful.
It is gorgeous. It really is.
It really is. It's easy for the Ubers to get in and out of there. We got dropped off. We got our bags. The porters are all there. And when you walk in, it's air conditioned and just well laid out.
Now, one of the really cool things for if you're taking an Uber or Lyft or whatever is they have marked zones for the Ubers. So not so much when you come in, but when you leave, it's really awesome. You go in your Uber, it tells you on your Uber app, it says go to C12 or whatever. You go to C12, the driver pulls up. We were talking to our Uber driver on the way to the airport, and she was saying it's amazing and it's her favorite because you don't have to search for your people. It's so easy to get in and out. They did an amazing job on that new terminal.
They really did.
Plus, there was plenty of seating in the new terminal. Not that we needed it, because the embarkation process was so easy. I mean, we got there. Now, we had checked in advance. Now, I do got to say, MSC, please, you need to fix your app. You need to work on that for registering people in your photo during the check-in process. Yeah. It doesn't work very well. It's clunky. Please, please, please get your people on it. But after that, once you are checked in and once you get beyond that step, it's so easy, the embarkation process. They had a ton of kiosks. It's mostly computerized now, and there's plenty of them walking. Now, they do separate the lines between the people with passports and the people who have the birth certificates. So we have passports, so I can only really speak to that experience because we saw there was more lines on the other side. Too. Yeah, well, Yacht Club, that's their own thing. Yeah. But anyway, if you have a passport, the entire process took us 5 minutes, both to get checked in electronically as well as to go through security and get onto the gangway. It was so fast because they do use facial recognition.
They had a lot of security lanes. So, I mean, in the past, we've had to wait and wait and wait, kind of like TSA. We just walked right up, threw our stuff in, and boom, we were through.
And again, for a mega ship, 6,700 passengers that they're processing in this very short amount of time. And we were able to pretty much walk right onto the ship in like 5 minutes. Yeah. It was outstanding. It was really cool. Also, the luggage arrived very promptly in terms of the embarkation process. I will tell you, one of my favorite things about MSC is they do allow you to go straight to your cabin and drop off your backpacks and your carry-on luggage. We always really enjoy that. We don't have to haul it up to the buffet or anything that we've had to do on other cruise lines. MSC lets you drop your stuff off and go, and that's something I really like about that.
Now, as far as the debarkation process, that was just as seamless. Now, we carry our own luggage off, so we don't have to go and search for our luggage in the little piles of luggage from the porters. But it was fast, maybe about 20 minutes tops. We waited till I think it was about 8:30 in the morning. We grabbed our bags and walked off the gangplank, and they had facial recognition at customs, and boom, we walked off, and we were in the Uber pickup spots before we know it.
If you do the birth certificate ID route, it's probably a very different experience. This is, again, one of the big advantages of using passports is they can use the facial recognition technology. Boom. We went through this, what looked like a huge long line, 20 minutes. So in terms of total score, Chris, what do you think? The new terminal in the process.
The new terminal was gorgeous. I give it a 10. It was just phenomenal seeing how it flowed and everything.
I would also give it a 10. MSC clearly took a long time planning, organizing, and working to get it right. To get that many people on and off so quickly is really a testament to the new terminal that they've built. You got to check that out. Our next category is entertainment. Now, I have to admit, one of my favorite parts of cruising is the shows.
Yeah.
Personally, love the shows. And the show I was most excited to see going onto this ship was Dirty Dancing. I was one of those teenage girls back in the 80s who was completely in love with Patrick Swayze. So I was really excited. What I didn't realize until we got on the ship was actually they have two different Dirty Dancing shows. The first one, which they do on a sea day, is they show the entire movie on the big screen in the theater. But what they do is they have a band and they have dancers. And the band and the singers play and sing all of the songs, and the band plays all of the music, and then they have dancers dancing in the aisles and things like that, which is
cool.
really kind of cool. The second show was more of a concert show where all they did was take some of the key songs from the movie and again had the singers and the dancers performing on stage. So realize there are two separate shows for the Dirty Dancing.
Yeah.
And I enjoyed both of them. They were really kind of fun.
Yeah. Yeah, and then they had another one called Odyssey, which was kind of an acrobatic show. Not quite my style, but I did enjoy it. It was a lot of that acrobatic Cirque du Soleil.
Cirque du Soleil kind of thing. And it's always fun to see those people perform because
very talented.
they're very talented.
Very talented.
Very talented. And it was really kind of a cool show to watch.
Yeah, and I think they also had a Whitney concert.
They had a Whitney concert.
We couldn't get into that.
We couldn't get into that one. Heard it was really good. I know Chris's favorite one was Queen Symphonic.
Queen Symphonic.
Queen Symphonic.
Yeah, that was in the back Panorama Lounge, I think it was.
Which is a really cool space.
And that's a really cool place too. But basically, MSC had the orchestra in the back on a big screen playing.
That was a video.
It was a video recording from a world famous orchestra that plays Queen's songs. And then they also had singers along with musicians with regular guitars and drums and so on.
And dancers.
And dancers and so on. And so it was a Queen themed show. And it was spectacular. I mean, definitely go see it if you are into Queen and rock music. So very good. Very good.
Yeah. The other show we saw, there was a comedian that we saw. I'm sorry, I don't remember the name, but you were really good. We really enjoyed that. My biggest issue with the entertainment on this entire cruise, and especially in terms of the main shows, is that the process to get the reservations was a pain. Again, you make all your reservations in the app, and the app isn't great. And so immediately when I got on the ship, I was trying to make reservations, and almost immediately most of the shows sold out on the first day. Yeah. And another thing that was really disappointing is that a lot of the shows were either scheduled around the same time, or they would only offer one performance, and it was during our scheduled dinner.
Yeah, yeah.
And so there were a number of shows. There was the Whitney show. There were a few other shows we weren't able to see because of the way it was scheduled, or they sold out so quickly. So if you're show people like we are, you're going to want to try to make sure. And it just really was disappointing, because it is one of the things that we love most about cruising is the shows. And they need to work on the scheduling of the shows so that they're not all running at the same time. We never were able to get into the loft, to get into the comedy shows. They had comedy shows there every night. We were never able to get into one of them. They were all sold out.
Now, what you can do is if they are sold out, if you want to stand in a long line, kind of like a standby line, to see if they have openings from people that made reservations that didn't show, you can do that. But I mean, those lines were pretty long.
Those were huge. We saw a few of those. And so that's something MSC needs to work on, is the scheduling. The shows themselves were fantastic.
Yeah, definitely. And then as far as like some of the supplemental performances, they had a lot of lounge performers. They had some down on the lanai, and dueling pianos, once again, is always a fan favorite. And it's always great. I mean, one thing MSC does that I love is they have a variety of the lounge acts.
We really like the performances on the lanai at night. You know, it's evening, it's really kind of a cool spot outside. And then they even had pop-up performances where some of the acrobats and some of the other performers would go out on the lanai and do a little show while the band is playing. And that was really cool.
I think the one guy was in the Odyssey play.
Yeah.
So
for entertainment, I gave the entertainment on MSC World America a score of a 9. I thought the performers themselves were fantastic. The shows were great. But I thought the execution and, again, the reservation process needs to be updated a lot.
Yeah, I gave it based on, I didn't have to deal with any of the reservations. I always leave that to her. So, but I heard the complaining. So, so
Thanks.
thanks. And just the fact that we couldn't get into some of the shows that we wanted to see. So I'm going to downgrade that and also give it a 9 based on that. But the shows were phenomenal.
Yeah, shows were phenomenal. Definitely, this is a ship to go and see the shows. Our next category is activities. And I'll be honest with you, it almost felt like they had too much. There were so many activities that were available. If you're not going to get bored on MSC World America. There are so many things to do. Some of them are free, some of them you have to pay extra for, but for all ages and interests, there's something for everyone on this ship. Now, they do offer the typical standards. They offer bingo. They have a casino. They offer karaoke, although we never got to karaoke. That's another thing we like to do. But again, the scheduling never worked out for us to get to karaoke. But they have trivia. They had the Love and Marriage show, which is always a blast to go to. We really like doing that. And all your other major cruise standards that you typically see on a ship.
What I really liked was the harbor area up on deck 20. And that's where you're going to find all the fun stuff, the cliffhanger, the ropes course, all the water slides, all that stuff. And also the splash pad for the kids, the small kiddos. But and then they had the sport complex up there, which has your bumper cars and basketball court all in one. I think they also do roller skating there as well. So that was a lot of fun. And actually, even for the additional cost on some of it's not that bad. You can get like a fun pass, but a lot of them were like $6 to do. Like, I think the cliffhanger was $6 or something like that. So
some of those things do have an extra charge, but it wasn't
it's not that much.
Horribly out of line. Another activity that we tried out on this ship that we've never really done before on other ships is we booked some time in the thermal spa. They had a special on one of the sea days, and so we thought, hey, we're going to check it out. Now, we're not normally spa people. This isn't normally for us, but we had a really fun time.
I think it was a buy one, get one or something.
Buy one, get one, I think was the sale we did. And so we tried out the thermal loungers. Those were really comfortable. I think we both fell asleep on those.
I did.
And we tried out the hot room and the cold room, the saunas. And they had all sorts of really fun things. And were very relaxing.
They had a steam room that had like a eucalyptus smell to it. So you walk in and it was kind of warm and steamy in there, but everything smelled like eucalyptus. So
yeah. They had another room that were these flat tables that were heated. Those were really comfortable. Yeah. It was really, we found it to be fun and relaxing. It was a bit crowded. It was a little hard during some of the time periods to get into some of the things, but eventually it kind of fizzled out and we had a really nice time in the spa.
Yeah, and the parties were great. They had Miami Nights. I think that was one of the first nights. That was down in the Luna Park Arena, I want to say.
Which was a really cool space
That's a cool
as well.
Spot. And that was just a load of fun. And then, of course, they got the silent disco. That was back on the lanai. They have the white party, and MSC does a phenomenal job on the white party. That was in the main pool deck.
The main Lido deck was where the white party is.
So, I mean, I will say MSC does a great job with their parties.
And all of these parties are family friendly. You got all ages there, and people are just there and having a really good time and dancing and just enjoying themselves. The parties were great. Yeah. So we really enjoyed it.
So what did you give the activities on this?
On the activities, I gave them a 10.
Did you?
Just because the variety was there. There literally is something for everyone. You're not going to have a boring moment on this ship at all.
No, and I gave it a 10 as well, just because there's so much to do, and it was just a fun time.
Yeah, my only criticism is we didn't have time to do everything.
No, I mean, there's so much to do. I mean, we could have probably taken a 14-day cruise and maybe fit
everything in we wanted to try. So, yeah. Our next category is the food. Now, this is something that MSC gets a lot of online criticism about the food, and I always kind of struggle with that just because everyone has different tastes.
Yeah.
So we're gonna look at this food category a little bit differently. First of all, in terms of the food, the MSC World America features 13 different dining venues and offers a huge variety of food, from high-end steaks at the butcher's cut to grab-and-go sandwiches, and of course, MSC's famous pizza.
Love the pizza.
It's really good. So we're going to break this down into a few categories. The first one is going to be the main dining room.
Yeah, now the main dining room, they do offer brunch and dinner options as well. Now their dinner options are going to be similar if you've been on any other MSC ship. The menus are very similar. Didn't really see much of a fluctuation in that.
Now, they typically offer food on a theme. So, for example, they'll have a Caribbean night, there's an Italian night, things like that. And then they have a few items that are staple that they pretty much offer every single day.
I think penne with Alfredo or something like that, or a sauce was one of their standbys.
Yeah, they've got a baked chicken, they've got a salmon.
Yeah.
All of those are some of their basics. And the brunch is very similar again to other MSC ships. There is a variety. One of the things I like about brunch on MSC is it's not just a repeat of the buffet.
Yeah, I really did enjoy the brunch on World America this time because they had some really interesting things. They had some parfaits. You had a strawberry
shortcake.
Kind of almost looked like a cream puff, but it was strawberry shortcake, and it was delicious. I took a bite. So, but yeah, their brunch is very well done, I think.
Probably the biggest change in food that you'll notice on World America is that MSC has implemented a bunch of additional free restaurants that are scattered all throughout the ship, kind of like you would see on Carnival or Royal Caribbean. And these offer a lot of grab-and-go options that are just really nice on the ship.
Yeah, like the Luna Park and Pizza, which is your burgers, your pizza. They had ice cream there as well, along with like some nachos and sweets.
Pizza,
and stuff.
nachos. They had some grab-and-go sandwiches.
And what it was nice was they were open way late into the night. I think we ate there one night at like midnight or 12:30 in the morning or something.
2:30 in the morning they're open to it.
Yeah.
So it's great for late night bites. I mean, the place is packed at
was
night.
packed.
It really is. But the food is really good and the atmosphere is really good, and it's a buffet, serve yourself kind of area as well.
Yeah, and then they have a bunch of auxiliary type restaurants like the Harbor Bites, Promenade Bites, La Boca Grill, which is right on the pool deck, where you could just go and grab like fries and a cheeseburger. I think they had pizza there as well. Mm-hmm. Those kind of things. So they had a lot of options around the ship.
Promenade Bites had popcorn and cotton candy and things like that. So they have a lot of really good free options that are scattered around the ship. So it's a really good variety and these new choices that you haven't seen on other MSC ships.
Right. So yeah, there was a lot of great variety and new choices on MSC World America versus some of the past MSC ships. Now, one thing I think everybody needs to go and check out is the Coffee Emporium. Mm-hmm. That place, it was on the World Promenade. And I'm not sure, we didn't have the drink package on this cruise, but I was told that if you have the drink package, most of the drinks will work in there, but verify that. But the coffee, we had cappuccinos, I think it was.
Cappuccinos, yeah.
And they were very good. They had a couple of quick bites in there too, but yeah, very good.
Yeah, we really enjoyed the Coffee Emporium. Another thing a lot of people go on cruises for in terms of food are the buffets. And I will say, on this particular ship, MSC really dialed in the buffets compared to a lot of other cruises and cruise lines. First of all, there are 2 of them, which is great. You've got one up on deck 18
is
and
the main one.
Is the main one, a bigger one. And then they have a smaller one up on deck 19. And the cool thing about that is it separates out the traffic, especially in the busy times, the breakfast times. And plus, MSC put in tons and tons of seating. You are going to find a place to sit even during the busiest of times, which is one of the biggest frustrations. I am not a buffet person. I kind of struggle with some of the buffets, especially when you have to wait in line. They had plenty of food stations open, so you didn't have to wait in line. We were on one cruise where we had to stand in line 15, 20 minutes before you even got to the food, just to get to the food. That didn't happen on this ship. They had plenty of stations open. You could get in and get out pretty easily in the buffets.
Yeah, I mean, quality-wise, I think the food was okay. I think maybe on past MSC cruises, the food might have been a tad better in the buffets, but I don't know. I just thought the quality in the buffet on this one was just a tad subpar compared to some of the past MSC cruises that we've been on. So other than that, though, there was plenty of places to sit. So
yeah, and it's really a pain in the buffet if you can't sit. Another thing is on the ship, as in many newer ships, they do have hand washing stations. One of the things I noticed is I didn't see a lot of people using them before going to the buffet. No. So my recommendation is always washy before you go to eat.
Yeah. And then they had the specialty dining restaurants on board. Now, MSC World America has expanded. Normally they only have 4. This time they had 6, with the additions of Paxos and Italy at sea.
Now they have the standards that you will often find on other MSC ships: the Butcher's Cut Steakhouse, the teppanyaki, the sushi, and Ola Cantina. All of those are there, and we've tried them out on other ships. We didn't try them out on this ship. One thing we did try in this ship was Italy. And if you want to see our review on Italy, we'll link that video in the description below.
Yeah, it definitely, if you get a chance, go try Italy. Shout out to Dexter, our host. He was phenomenal, and the food was just incredible, I thought.
Yeah, we really enjoyed that. Yeah, the food was great. Another new specialty dining experience they have on the ship is Paxos, which is a Greek restaurant. Now, we didn't eat there, but we talked to a ton of people who did. It felt like everybody we talked to had gone there, and they all raved about it. So I don't know if that means anything to you, but we're passing it on. So in terms of the food, what would you give it for a score, Chris?
I struggled with this one. I think I'm going to give it an 8. I was debating on a 7 or an 8, just because I didn't like the buffet as much as I have in the past on other ships for MSC. I didn't think the quality was quite as good, but overall the main dining room food was good, and I really did enjoy Italy. So I gave it an 8.
I was kind of also right on the edge in this one. I was between like an 8 and a 9. I kind of ended up at a 9, mainly because of the variety. And it was so easy to get in. One of the worst parts about it, especially again, on a mega ship, you're there with 6,000 plus other people, is the crowds. And I didn't feel horribly crowded on this particular ship. And so I gave it a 9.
Okay. Our next category is the service. And I got to give a big shout out to our room steward, Christopher. I mean, he was spectacular.
He was fantastic. We really enjoyed working with him. Now, one of the things that we were told when we got on the ship is that MSC now only cleans the rooms once a day. But we saw Christopher way more than that.
Yeah.
He checked in with us every evening right around dinner time, like, hey, you need anything, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, we'd see him in the hallway. Hey, how's it going? Need anything?
I mean, it's just the two of us, so we're not that messy.
No.
But he'd bring us fresh towels and everything like that. So, yeah, I mean, service was real spot on anytime we needed it.
Yeah, and the servers in the main dining room, the wait staff, was just, once again, spectacular. Big shout out to Yuta and Patrick.
They were a great team. They kept us well taken care of when we were in the main dining room, and so we really enjoyed that. And like other ships, it was clean. The ship was, you usually deal with a handful of crew members, but big picture, always great service. Everyone was polite. Everyone was very kind when we were dealing with them.
Yeah, if I had any criticisms, it would be, I still thought the bar staff overall was slower. I went, I think it was I can't remember, I think it was the Zen pool area, and I just went to order a couple of sodas, and it took like 10 minutes. So
I did think the bar service on this ship was faster than some of the other
little-
ships we've been on for MSC.
A little bit.
But still, it's a bit slower than Carnival or Royal Caribbean. They
Yeah.
really need to up their game on their bar service. The other thing in terms of the bar service, and this isn't really service, but MSC, you need to start carrying hard ciders.
Yeah, something like White Claw, Charblis, any type of hard seltzer. What is it? High Noon, I think, is another
High Noon
one.
is another one, yeah.
But
they don't offer any of that, and that's just they're very popular right now. We really enjoy those, so yeah, we'll put that in this category. No other place to put it. But other than that, in terms of the service, I gave them a 9. Pretty much anything I needed was taken care of, and the employees we worked with were kind and helpful in all respects. So
yeah,
very good job.
I gave them a little bit lower. I gave them an 8, and that was strictly because, once again, the bar service seems to be lagging a little bit compared to a couple of the other cruise lines out there. So, but the main dining room, the housekeeping staff, all them people were just spectacular and top notch. And our last category is the value. So yeah, compared to some of the other new ships that are out there, like Icon of the Seas, I thought that this ship was significantly less expensive.
Absolutely, it was. So for this particular cruise, we paid $1,280 per person, which included the gratuities.
All in.
All in per person.
Yeah.
So yeah, for an extended balcony cabin for a 1-week Western Caribbean cruise. So 7-day cruise, 7-night cruise for $1,200
On a brand new ship.
on a brand new ship. And when you figure the value you get, the food, and we mostly ate the free food.
Yeah.
Many of the activities are included. I mean, the price was just outstanding.
Yeah.
Especially since, we priced a similar balcony room on Icon of the Seas, upcoming Star of the Seas, these mega ships, during the same time period. They were double the price.
Yeah.
I mean it very literally. They were more than double the price of what we paid on this, again, brand new ship from MSC.
Yeah, it really is hard to beat that when you look at the big picture of everything. And, some people might say one cruise line is better than other for certain reasons and so on. But when you just look at the value, I think it's really hard to beat.
It really was hard to beat for what you get. I mean, we had a really fantastic trip for not that much money per person.
So based on that, I think I know where you're going to come in, but I'm going to basically give it a 10, just because, yeah, I think with MSC, there's a few things you give up here and there, but I think in the big picture, for the price on a brand new ship, for the price we paid, I don't think you can beat that.
You really can't. I would also have to give it a 10. And if you've never been on MSC before, but you've been on other cruise lines, they will also status match you from other cruise lines. So, I mean, there you can jump up in their rewards program, and you've never even been on there, which is really kind of a cool thing. So absolutely, for value, 10 out of 10.
So there you have it. This is the total for each of us and what we gave the total score. Now, I hope that you could see that this is a pretty budget-friendly cruise line to be on, as well as, World America being a brand new ship. I think there's something for everybody.
Yeah, and that's one of the things we would say. There's something for everyone. You're going to have some world-class entertainment, variety of food. It's a great time. If you want to learn more about our trip on World America, in the description below, we'll link a couple of videos. We've got a tour of the ship. We've got a video on boarding day, so you can see the process and what you need to do to get onto the ship. Room tours, we've got a review of our experience at Italy and more. So check out those other videos in the description below. And don't forget to like and subscribe.
Yep. Happy cruising, everybody, and thanks for watching.
Thanks for watching.